Hello, happy Friday. Hello. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. I am Christelle, host of the Love and Meaning podcast, where I discuss from my own personal experience, nurturing the evolved self through radical self-responsibility, compassion, and self-discovery. Is Friday Night Live Dive, where we dive into the topics of the Love and Meaning podcast. We bring it to life. It's all about embodiment and really living the practices. So welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. These are our Friday Night Live Friday Night Live. That is a freaking tongue twister. So as you come in, how this works is I want you to say hello, and then let us know what you're celebrating, and we will shine the Friday night lights for you. Today is a big day of celebration because we are celebrating 6 months of the Love and Meaning podcast. So, I'm so happy. I'm so excited. And today is a day of celebration. I've actually changed my plan for the topic for today. We are really going to, it's going to be a little bit more casual, but I really want to celebrate with you and take account of the past 6 months. And I think I'm just going to share a little bit about what I learned and what this experience has been like for me. But today's a celebration, so I extra want to hear your celebrations because the collective energy makes it so much more beautiful. So welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for choosing to spend your Friday evening here with me. I want to thank everybody that's been along for this whole ride, who has been listening to the podcast, who has been sharing the podcast. If it touches you, if any of the topics resonate with you, please do share. It means the absolute world to me, and I know many of you have, and it really touches my heart to see how we can spread the love. If it resonates with us, it often means that it will resonate with somebody else. And so all of those who have shared, for those of you who are new, if you're seeing my face for the first time here, if you haven't listened and you're about to, welcome. Thank you for all of the well wishes, for all of the support that I've received all along the way. I thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. This has been such an amazing experience, and I feel more excited today at the 6-month mark than I did in the very beginning. Like, it has been such an enriching process, and it is truly one of the greatest decisions I've ever made. So we are celebrating. So I want to hear what you're celebrating so we can add to all the fun and joy. So as you come in, say hello and let me know what you're celebrating for the week. I am officially celebrating being a podcaster for 6 months now. And it's just, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. So the podcast airs every Monday at 8 a.m. EST or EDT. I think we're EDT right now. And you can listen to it on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, and right here on my YouTube. And you can search my YouTube page by the handle at Coaching with Cree, or by my name, Christelle Robinson-Tiedemann. You can also find out lots more information about the podcast. I share clips, and I share a whole bunch of other teachings. I'm a life coach and a human design reader, so you're welcome to follow me on my Instagram at Coaching with Cree, and also my Facebook business page at Coaching with Cree. So welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. I have the chat open here on my phone in addition to my little notes because sometimes the chat is delayed on there. So if you see me looking down, that's why, okay? I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything as people come in. Please say hello as you come in and let us know what you're celebrating. I have right here beside me all the time the sticky notes that my coworker made for me on the first day of the podcast. And they're always here and they make me so happy. So I was looking at them today and I was like, it's a perfect backdrop. I hope your day is as beautiful as you deserve. It's been such a wonderful co-creative process. So I really just want to bring all the gratitude and all the joy today. And I want to also celebrate whatever it is going on in your lives. So as I'm celebrating 6 months of the podcast, I've learned a lot of things, it's been such a beautiful self-reflective process, teaching process, expansive process. And I thought today we can always talk about the topic that I was going to talk about another time, but I thought what a great opportunity to maybe do a little bit of reflecting and just to hang out with you and to spread my love and my gratitude. So I'm going to kind of just cover some of the things that I've learned in the past 6 months doing the podcast. And if there's anybody out there who has been considering starting a podcast and you are afraid or stalling or holding back or procrastinating or thinking that you can't do it, maybe this could change your mind. I don't know. I can tell you that it was really scary for me just putting my voice out there without somebody else kind of giving me permission. Like for me to just decide to share because I want to, and it's my own thoughts and my own voice, it's surprisingly scary. And I know a lot of people can relate to holding themselves back in that way. I think it's really normal to think things like, who's going to want to listen to me? What does my opinion matter? Who the heck am I? Like, who wants to hear what I have to say? Why is my experience valuable? And if anything, doing the podcast, it has proven to me how important every single person's individual experience is. We are all such unique, beautiful beings. And everyone pretty much chronically suffers from a condition of thinking that we're alone no matter how much we're not. No matter how many other people we see go through things, when we're going through things, we often think we're the only ones or that no one else can relate, or it's too shameful, or it's embarrassing, or it's really difficult to be vulnerable. And what I've noticed is the more vulnerable that all of us are, the more we open the door and allow other people to give themselves permission to be themselves, to share their truths, and to step forward exactly as they are. And so in being brave and starting it, even though it felt terrifying, and also because I had all the same thoughts that I just mentioned, the feedback that I've received has been so beautiful because it really centers around having somebody else see themselves as part of a whole, see themselves as someone else can relate, and giving another person permission to step forward in their own way, even if it's just to share with another person in their own life or just to tell someone what's going on with them. So I really think that benefit alone is like a perfect reason for every single person to share. If you're being called to share, trust me, somebody else really, really needs to hear it. So yeah, if anybody is on the fence with that, I really hope that this can help to give you some courage and motivate you to step into it. So again, as you come in, say hi and let me know what you're celebrating. And I'm going to let you guys know some of the things that I've learned from doing the podcast so far, in addition to what I just said. All right, so the first thing that came up for me is that, boy, has this been a process. So day one until now, and you know what? I'll even include like the Friday Night Live dive. Like being on camera. This is a little bit of a different thing. So it's a little bit of a different experience to go live. In addition to like, okay, I set up the the microphone and I'm talking and I'm sharing my own personal experience. In a podcast, you do get to edit and stuff. And then going live is its whole other beast. So I'll speak a little bit from both of them, but still, it takes a lot of vulnerability. It takes a lot of vulnerability to share your own truth. So what I've learned is that mastery really does come from experience. And I was talking to my husband about this the other day. It's like I'm really only just getting started. There's so much growth to be had. There's no doubt about that. But I think about day one and then the ease of what, that I record, how quickly I can record and how the topics come to me, all of that. Like mastery really does come through experience, which we all know. But I'm saying it because I still suffered from that. I can't do this because it needs to be perfect. I put it off and I put it off and I put it off and I put it off, even though I had the idea. It took me a while to actually get started because I had this idea that I needed to learn so much so that when I can do it perfectly. Knowing that that's impossible, I want to reiterate that and make it really, really clear. It's not going to be perfect. It's not, because you actually have to learn through experience. It's something that you tweak over time. It's something that you learn preferences over time. It's something that you think you might like this, and this is how you want to do the podcast, and then you start, and then it's nothing like that. But it's not even just the podcast. Like this could be with any creative endeavor. We think that we want to do things a certain way, and then we start and you realize, I actually hate that, or like, that's not even me. Like that's me just trying to copy somebody else, or that's the way that I think it should be done, but it doesn't work for me. You're not going to reach that level of mastery. So mastery is really like when it becomes almost second nature to you without the experience. So that is the first thing. Like I'm not at mastery of it yet, but the learning process, I don't know why I thought I could predict it. Like you just can't. You have to experience it and then tweak. And that process actually gets to be so fun. It gets to be so fun. But there's so much that I learned about myself, that I'm learning about the actual process of it, that I'm learning about how other people experience me. There's so many things that I'm learning, and I couldn't have predicted any of that. It kind of reminds me of when I went into OT school. I was 100% sure that I was going to work in pediatrics. I love children, and I'm like, I definitely am going to work in pediatrics. And then as soon as I got to the stage of doing field work is where you actually go into a facility and you practice under the supervision of a licensed occupational therapist. As soon as I did pediatric work, I was like, oh, I hate this. It is possible to love children, to love to play with children. Working with children is a whole other animal. And I was like, oh, this is not for me. So I was 100% sure I wanted to do pediatrics and 100% sure I did not want to do geriatrics. Well, Christelle hated pediatrics and I adore geriatrics. So there are just things that you don't know until you do it. So if you were waiting for somebody to give you that little push, if you needed to hear today that little push of just do it, just start, just go for it, just get in there and figure it out as you go, here it is. I give you full permission, because you can't know until you do it. You really just can't. So that is like the first major takeaway. Like this is mastery in process. And it's so interesting because my mastermind, I run a mastermind with some other coaches, and we're called Mastery and Embodiment. And so like I have that awareness that it's something that you embody over time, and then the coaching group that I am a part of from another coach, I'm part of her coaching group. She runs the group. It's called Masterpiece in the Making. So we know there are all these, like, we've been told, that it's a process. You learn as you go, but it still doesn't, I know it doesn't make it easy. So just try it. Just go for it. That's the major thing. Like, I don't regret anything, but I could have started earlier. So just go for it. Just go for it, and you're definitely gonna learn as you go. So that was my first takeaway. Let me make sure that I'm not missing anybody's comments. So say hi as you come in, guys, and let me know what you're celebrating this week, because this week is all about celebrations, and I'm itching to Friday night live dive light you. So let me know. Okay, my second takeaway, or the second thing that I learned that I wanted to share, is that I realized that, is this really, I can't see the lights in my face. Let me move it out of my face. I realized that when I am being the most vulnerable, and I don't mean just raw for no reason. So I don't mean like go out there and tell everyone your dirtiest secret. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when I'm my most authentic self, so my truest self, my truest delivery. So for example, one of the things growing up, I kind of implanted an idea of in my head is like, I'm a bit too much, I'm too loud, I'm too excitable, I'm all over the place, I go from one topic to the next. I had all these ideas about how I am versus how I'm supposed to be. And so in order to present as the best, I want to be what I'm supposed to be. Well, this process has really taught me how bullshit that be. Be you. So when I am just my truest, rawest self, not only do I like literally feel it energetically in the podcast episode, like when I listen back, not only do I even myself connect to my own episode, but so do other people. Really what others are drawn to in us, and I don't mean it from like an advertising perspective, but I mean it in terms of touching hearts, in terms of affecting change, in terms of inspiring somebody else. Those are part of my values. Those are part of the reasons why I do this, right? Because I've been inspired so much by other people, and I've been told, as being an OT, in working in healthcare, I've seen how I can influence people in a positive way. And so I truly stepped into podcasting, partially is to be able to inspire other people and share in a way where if someone else needed to hear something that day, and whatever my truth is that could be helpful to them, the most open I am, the most unguarded, like not trying to present perfectly, but just trying to be my realest self, has been the biggest connector. So your you-ness, whatever you like, the thing that makes you really, really special, is actually what other people crave from you the most. That's definitely what this has taught. Valerie says, hi. Hi, Val. What are you celebrating this week? And everyone else who's here who hasn't said hi, say hi and let us know what you're celebrating this week if you can. Yeah, so it's really been heartwarming, and I know, and especially like as the podcast grows, as I'm exposed to more people, we all know this is the internet, okay? There are haters, there are mean people out there. It is very easy to say whatever you want to say that's hurtful to another person when they can't see you or know who you are. Like, there's always going to be that. But for the majority, I'm talking about those who are actually connecting with you in a meaningful way. It's so impactful every time every inch, every little bit that I have shed the conditioning or the limiting belief that I'm too much or I shouldn't be fully myself, it has deeply touched somebody in their heart. And that makes it all worth it, really. So show up as you. Show up as you. I know it might sound cliche, but really, 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 and it could be like the smallest thing that makes you you. You know what I mean? Like it could be the tiniest thing, and like the way that you dress or the way that you do your makeup, or just your way of speaking, or if you speak another language and you're just like, I need to do it in English, you know, but your heart keeps telling you want to do it in your original language. Like whatever it is, like I promise you there is a reason, and those who are waiting for exactly what it is, because it's your you-ness, whatever your style is, your quirks, that's what people are actually going to love the most. So this process has taught me that vulnerability is such a beautiful thing. It can be such a connecting and beautiful thing. All right, what else is on my list? So, I want to pause for a second and tell you guys. So, in celebration, it's been 6 months since I started the podcast. I have decided that the draw, which some of you might not know about, but at the beginning when I launched the podcast, I created a draw and I put out a challenge there for people to rate and review the podcast. And when we reached 100 reviews, I was going to announce the winner. So how you would enter to win is you would write your review on whatever platform it is that you are watching the podcast, screenshot it, and email it to me at goddessofpracticality@gmail.com. And I have all those entries of the people who have sent their emails with their screenshots, and I'm putting you into a draw, and I'm going to pull 2 people to win a full human design reading. So we haven't reached 100 reviews, but in celebration at the 6-month mark, I'm going to be pulling it. So tomorrow I am doing the draw. Tomorrow I will be doing the draw for 2 winners of full human design readings. So if you're watching this, if you're hearing this for the first time and you haven't entered, you still have a chance. You can go ahead and pick any episode. It doesn't matter. Pick any episode. Take a listen. Rate the podcast, review, screenshot your review, and email it to me at goddessofpracticality@gmail.com. All of that information is in the show notes. All of that information is also on my Instagram, which is at Coaching with Cree. So go ahead and use the final moments to enter. But tomorrow will be the day, and there will be 2 lucky winners receiving full human design readings. And I'm really excited. I think that this is a good moment, and I really feel like giving something back. So I thought of that today, and let's do it. So last minute, if you'd like to enter, go ahead and do that. If you would like to share, that would mean so much to me. If you could share the podcast with someone, and you can tell them all the details about the contest, and they can also enter and potentially win a free human design reading. It's 90 minutes long, and it's detailed, and you're going to walk away with truly knowing how to step into living by your design. I tailor it so that it is really practical, and I call my human design readings Divine Advantage Human Design Readings, because I do believe that you have a divine advantage once you have this information. It's like coming home to yourself, learning the way that you and your energy operates in the world. So it's actually a really, really awesome gift. So I'll be drawing tomorrow, and I didn't want to forget to tell you guys, so I'm really glad that I wrote that reminder down here. And Val says, today I'm celebrating that I made it to 75. Ah! Happy birthday. And the fact that my parents died so young is a huge celebration for me that I made it this far in life. I will be celebrating for the rest of the month. Hear, hear. Happy birthday, Aunt Val. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. What a beautiful celebration. Yes, celebrate for the whole month. Oh my gosh, how beautiful. And looking amazing and feeling amazing and just being such a youthful and energetic person. So you're just such a beautiful example of 75 is sexy. Woohoo! All right. Ooh, that is a good celebration. Okay, so the next takeaway or the next thing that that comes up as things that I've learned, that I've learned since starting the podcast is self-expression is healing, and healing has a ripple effect. So it has been such a healing process for me doing this podcast. Like, I mean, just for myself. Like I mentioned before, it helped me to come to terms with this idea that I had about myself and what people might think of me. And I proved that completely wrong. And it's been such a beautiful process of going within, extracting the lessons from my life, and sharing my own inner work. And in the sharing alone, there is such a healing process. In a lot of the work that I've done in coaching, we talk about being witnessed and how important it is to be witnessed by a trusted and caring person, another person. This is why community is so important. And there's a different type of witnessing that I feel like comes from sharing the podcast. And it really has to do with spreading kind of the lessons beyond so that they don't stop here. Like how it almost makes like things that we've been through, worth it might be too strong, because I definitely don't wish anything. I'm not even talking about my own experience, but for anyone else who's been through horrific experiences, nobody wishes that upon anybody. But by sharing, it really can make such a huge difference in somebody else's life. So not only has it been a healing process for me to share my experience, to let my voice free, like simply letting my voice free has been so healing for me. When I felt like there wasn't always a space for me to be heard. I was often told, I'm talking too much, or I don't have anything useful to say, or, you need to learn to be quieter. Like, these were a lot of my childhood experiences. And so I definitely did have some throat chakra blocks. And so like just the sharing of my voice has been healing. But then that healing has a ripple effect. And this goes for all of our healing. So I really saw full circle how the same thing happens with our inner work. So as we work on our own personal development, right? As you become the best version of yourself, you're obviously going to be a positive influence on all of those people around us, all of those people in your life, even strangers, the people that you interact with, because you're going to interact with people in a much more conscious and intentional way. And I've really seen that is the same thing in the podcast. Like in being brave, I can encourage other people to be brave. I can inspire other people to be brave. I also have more compassion for people that have done huge things. Like, it's so easy for us to sit back. I feel like as a collective, we are so good at sitting back and having an opinion on what that celebrity is doing and wearing, and how that singer sounds, and how this person does this and this person. We all have something to say about how people are doing the things that they're showing up for while we're not doing it. Like, it's so easy. I have my compassion and understanding and respect for people, for creators, for visionaries, for everyone doing their thing out there. That is a little piece of themselves put out into the world. I have grown so much respect for them, in addition to growing respect for myself. So it's been such a beautiful healing process, and then I really see that ripple effect. And I think that that is something that we can all learn from, you know, even if it's that you're not stepping into something outwardly creative, like you're just creating on your own, just being conscious of what that takes. And then also just being conscious of how your own growth has an effect on those around you. So that is another thing that that has really stood out over these past 6 months of doing the podcast. Another one is creativity flows best from a mindful state. So one of the topics that I brought up a lot in the podcast, I brought it up in Friday Night Live Dive. My main form of numbing, but at the same time, I'm actually learning. So like I used to trick myself. It's a sticky spot for me because it feels like I'm doing something fantastic, but sometimes I'm just overloading myself, overloading my nervous system and my brain. I love to listen to podcasts. I love to be taking courses. I love to be consuming useful, meaningful content. But the thing is, when I'm super plugged into other content, I'm not super plugged into myself. And running the podcast for the past 6 months has really solidified that. It has really solidified that because nothing will slow down my creativity or block my ideas more than over consuming someone else's content or other content that isn't me. I don't know that if this is specific to a non-generator type. I want to say no. I was contemplating this because I'm like, generators need to respond. So like, is this because I'm a projector, a human design projector? For those who don't know human design, there are different types. And in the 5 types, 2 of those types, generator types, who make up 70% of the population. So the most likely I'm talking to you right now, generator type out there. The way that generators operate throughout the world in their lives is by response. So you guys are not initiators in life. You are here to respond to your environment, respond to what's around you, even respond to your own ideas. And from there, this is, where the creativity is coming from. And so I was like, does this even relate to generator types? But I think it does. Because I like tweak this to however it is for you specifically. But for example, like going out for a walk and it's like you're still quiet and you're still able to be contemplative there's still plenty to respond to. You also respond to your own thoughts. So the thing is like when we're so overloaded with content, especially too if you have an open head in human design, if your head center, your crown center is open, we take in a lot of thoughts. When there's so much coming at us, it's almost hard to choose. And I feel like, I don't know, it's possible to maybe even have response fatigue, like if there's too much to respond to. So I really do think this goes for everyone, but you guys tell me, run it through your own system and let me know what you think. But I've really noticed for myself that creativity flows best from a mindful state. So I need to find quiet. Like I need to have pauses. I need to be in my own energy. I need to be in silence. There has to be some quiet. And, that can be in nature, that can be with a pet, or that could be by yourself, however that works for you. But I really do find that creativity flows when you're not overloading or overwhelming your nervous system. And I think that this goes for not just, me having a podcast, but I think of an artist and creating their art, like your creativity, for it to flow, you want to be creating art that is you. And it's hard to access us when there's so much of other inside of our mind. Like, what is us? Like, which part is us? And whatever type you are out there, many of us have at least one open center in our human design chart. So we're also absorbing information, we're absorbing energy from the people around us, from the places around us. So we always want to have some sort of system for returning to our own authentic, true energy and allowing that to come through in our creativity, because that comes back to the second thing that I mentioned, which is that your you-ness, like the unique thing that is you, the thing that is me, is actually the thing that's been the most impactful to others and to myself to share. So finding those pauses and making sure to like not over consume has been really, really huge for me. And it's something that I have to constantly, like, I have to be conscious of. Like, I'll just, if I'm unconscious, I'll just like plug in my headphones and like immediately, podcast on, course on. So I've actually been mindful of silence more, and also mindful of like just fun reading or just listening to an audiobook that's just a fantasy or a fiction. Like, these are the things that I love, whatever it is you love, like just being in your natural flow, not just, consuming to consume. That is, that's been, I think, a huge a lesson for me in these past 6 months. For those of you who are here, if you want to share what you're celebrating this week, let us know. Just put it in the chat and we'll shine some Friday night lights for you. Don't think it's too late. I would still love to know what it is that you're celebrating and know who's here with me. And in the meantime, I will continue with the reflections that I've made on running the podcast for the past 6 months. So another reflection is the best material comes from just living life. I feel like it kind of connects to the last one, but the best material for my podcast has come from just living my own freaking life, like being in my life. So not just sitting there and being like, what am I going to talk about? I have to think of something. Okay, come up with the best 10 topics and then write them down. It's not, no. Well, that doesn't even work for me anyway, so much for that. But for those who might be doing that, the best stuff for me has been like, I went on my bachelorette weekend and I came away with like 10 different awarenesses from that trip. Like, every single time, like, I'm paying attention and I'm present in my life. So this goes back to the mindfulness from the last point, but just living my life and then reflecting on my own life is the best content. Or just like, not even that it's like I'm trying to extract the lesson, but just being in my life, just doing things, going places, being with the people in my life, having rich and deep conversations. There's always something amazing that is sparked. There's always like a deeper contemplation that comes through. Having conversations with other people, like, oh my gosh, like expanding on different ideas. Like, this is where actually the best material has come. All of my trips, I come back with like so much content. So much happens in traveling for me, in experiencing new places, doing new things. I really expand myself, and I see things in a different way, see life through other people's eyes, and there's so much content that comes from that. So really, like, the best way to build content is just living a full life. Hi, I'm celebrating being able to get all that I scheduled for the week done. Hey! Woohoo! Here's to productivity. I love those weeks. There is a reason that people say that, like, actually putting the check mark, being able to check off things on like your list of things to do or your to-do list, it releases endorphins. So just like when we give ourselves the like, yes, we did it, that feels so good. So I hear you. Good for you. Woohoo! I love these celebrations. All right. All right. And so my last one, I have one more reflection that I've made about doing the podcast over the past 6 months. This is a big one. And how do I say this? What I've realized is that you really have to do your endeavor, whatever your creative endeavor is, for yourself. And this really reinforced my belief that what's best for me is best for everyone. When I first started the podcast and I was working with my coaches and they kept asking me, like, what is your reason for wanting to do it? I actually felt embarrassed, and I didn't share it until like later, that I wanted to start the podcast because I felt this very strong desire to share my voice. I wanted an outlet. I wanted an avenue to share all the things that I've learned. Like, it just felt like it needed to come out of me. Like it's hard to put that into words to somebody, just be like, I need to. I'm being called to. I must. It feels like it's part of my destiny. We're so conditioned into, well, that's like a selfish reason. You just want to do it for yourself. Like it needs to be altruistic and it has to be all about helping other people. Well, it is, but it has to be for you first. And if it wasn't for me first, I'm telling you, I wouldn't have done it. But then it has been so helpful and beautiful to other people. And Alana says, I also feel happy that my sister has remained so young at heart. We had so much fun for the weeks we spent together. Yeah, it is so beautiful. I absolutely adore seeing youthfulness at every age. My gosh, I've seen curmudgeonness and elderliness in young people. So, I mean, of course, it really has so little to do with age, but like, it really is the best being at whatever age you are and feeling like you're still living your life to the fullest. Like that is just so beautiful. So, yay. Yay to youth and being young at heart and being fun and not letting a number dictate how you experience your life, but letting your heart and your soul dictate it. So one of my mentors, she has a saying, and the saying is, for me, for you, for us. For me, for you, for us. This is what Melanie Andler says. For me, for you, for us. And the depth and beauty and perfection of that becomes clearer to me more and more and more every single day. She teaches for me, for me, so you do it for yourself first, for others, and then in the for me, for myself, and the for others, there is a for us. And this cycle occurs in that order. And that cycle is sustainable. We have seen so many examples of people doing for other, leads to burnout, leads to resentment, leads to, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. It leads to an imbalance. But the for me, for you, for us, I absolutely adore it because I've always, for those who have known me for a long time, I've always been a fan of selfishness. I am proud to be controversial in this way. I've always been a fan of that because I truly believe that if everybody took personal responsibility, and this is why I mentioned that in the beginning, that this is what this podcast is all about. If people took a lot more personal responsibility, we would see a lot less pain inflicted upon other people. We assume that to put yourself first means to be thoughtless, to be inconsiderate. But I don't believe that human beings are like that in general. I don't think that that is our natural state. I think that often we tend to see selfishness come out, or not being able to consider others come out, because it feels like I haven't been considered, and so I must grapple at things. But if everybody took on the responsibility that it's your job, it's our job to look out for what's important for us. It's our job to put ourselves out there. It was my job to decide to express myself. I didn't need somebody else's permission. And then from that place of taking full responsibility to look out for me, I'm able to actually produce something that's helpful for someone else. And then therein lies the part where it gets to be for both of us. And a cycle is continued. So it really gets to be okay for you to do this for yourself. And interestingly enough, I didn't learn this until somewhat recently. I think it was a couple of months ago, maybe 2 months ago at most, in studying the gene keys. So the gene keys is a system that I also love to use in addition to human design. And in the gene keys, I've been studying my own gene key. It's called a holographic profile. And there are certain aspects of my design that just play out. Like it's just part of who I am. And in the area of the gene keys that's called my life's work. So if you look up your gene keys profile, there's a section called your life's work, and it talks about what your soul incarnated here to do in this life. And it's so interesting that it's literally written in there that the things that I endeavor to do that will be impactful for the world, I have to do it because I want to for me first. If I try to figure out what other people want of me and do that, I will not actually truly reach my potential. And I think whether that's in your holographic profile or not, I think that that could be a really important message to anybody, because oftentimes I think we're trying to seek out what someone else wants of us, or how we're supposed to be, or in business, it's like even trying to like just offer what someone else wants, or what other people want, what you think your audience wants. One, you don't know if you're getting it right. Two, there's then a whole bunch of people doing the same thing, and then what makes you special, right? And so then three, how you become unique in your own right, how what it is that you're offering is literally unable to be duplicated, is because it's coming from a place of pure desire from you. It is like truly what your heart and soul desires to deliver. And from that place, there's no way, like it's definitely matching up with those out there. Your that energy, that authenticity is matching up with those out there that want to receive that same thing. And so I'm so happy that I listened to the do it for myself, even though I was embarrassed to say it out loud. And then now I want to take the opportunity to share that, because if I was thinking it, I guarantee someone else was thinking it. It's okay to do it for you. It actually is more than okay to do it for you. It's the perfect start, and it's sustainable, because the thing is, in so many different endeavors, including my podcast, including if I think of every artist, if you think of every singer out there, if you're just doing it for other people, and this is the same for business, this is the same for in whatever area of work that you want to spread it out to, that you want to generalize this to. If we're just doing it for someone else, you're constantly requiring validation, and you don't always get validation. So I would have quit already. If I wasn't doing this for me, I would have quit. And then I don't get to see the true benefit. I don't get to see where my podcast can take me. I don't get to see all the people that I could touch. You don't actually let the thing that you're meant to create live its full life, right? live its full, what it's here to do and be. You don't allow it. We cut it short when we're seeking everybody else's validation. Because one thing that I've learned viscerally when it comes to the internet, when it comes to putting yourself out there, a lot of people consume your content and don't comment and don't like, but it doesn't mean that they didn't like it. It doesn't mean that it wasn't beneficial to them. It doesn't mean that it wasn't helpful to them. Just people have their lives. You don't actually know what's going on with other people half the time. And they could be consuming your stuff all the time. You could be changing their lives. There are so many, actors and singers and all kinds of artists. I'm using them as examples because we've heard them speak about it, but they say, like, how long did it take for someone to recognize them? It didn't mean that they were terrible before. The Meryl Streeps of the world, who turn out to be the greatest legends of all time, she was told she was too ugly. Can you imagine? Like, she's my favorite actor. Like, imagine that we didn't have the gift of Meryl Streep's movies. But if she didn't do it because she loved it, she didn't do it for her, she would have listened to whoever first told her, you don't have the looks. Sorry. So do it for you is way deeper than I even thought it was. Way, way deeper. So I'm truly grateful for the fact that I am doing this for myself, because that stick-to-itiveness that you need, it's so much, it's not a question. Like, there is no question, because I love it. I'm in love with this. I'm falling more and more in love with this. I'm learning more and more with this. I'm mastering this. This is my baby, my craft, my endeavor, my love child. And I'm doing it for me. And in doing it for me, it gets to be so beneficial for other people. So if there's something out there that you want to do and you feel like, I don't have a good reason for it because my reason is selfish, it's just that I really, really want to, that gets to be enough. That gets to be enough. Sometimes we know we're supposed to do something and we don't actually know what the ripple is going to be. But that desire is put there because there's something, there's someone, there's a group of people, there's something that's going to change. So, if we think about all the inventions in the world, it's not like we really needed iPhones, and we didn't we didn't need to pre-slice bread, but like, these have become great conveniences, things that we rely upon, the things that blow up in life. Like, you get to just do it because you feel like it. You get to just do it because you feel called to, because it excites you, because it makes you happy. So whatever it is that your heart is calling to, that you want to, make sure that you're doing it for you, because then you're really going to put your all into it. You're going to stick with it. You're going to continue even when things get hard. It seems difficult, when there's a lot of learning curves, all of that stuff. Like, you really get to see the full potential of things when you do it for yourself, because that gets to be enough. That gets to be enough. So those are my reflections. I'm sure there are a lot more, but those were the ones that I wrote down. And maybe at a year, we'll have a bigger celebration and I'll come up with more reflections. But that's what I came to over these past 6 months. And I hope that that's helpful for someone. And if there's anybody out there who's been wanting to start a podcast, just do it. You get to change things all along the way. You can change your mind. You can change the title. You can do whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you get to figure it out as you go. But it's so rewarding. So I encourage you to let your craft out there. So I just want to say thank you again to everybody who has supported me on this path. For those who show up here every week on Friday Night Live Dive, for those who might be here for the first time, welcome. I'm so excited to have you. For sharing, for the people that will come, like, this is just bringing me so much joy and gratitude, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity and the privilege to be able to do this and to continue to grow and learn and share and make a difference and be of influence and be of inspiration and be inspired. So thank you so much to all of you. Thank you for your support and your words and for being here and for your presence. I hope that everyone has the most wonderful week. If anyone wants to share before we go what they're celebrating for the week, we can go out with some more lights. We need more lights. I feel like the, what is his name? Thing Farrell with the more cowbells, more lights. If anybody wants to say their final celebrations for the week, let us know. If not, I wish you all a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week ahead. New episode of the podcast drops Monday, 8 a.m. EST, EDT. Apple Podcast, on Spotify, and right here on my YouTube page at Coaching with Cree. My services are below in the show notes and also on my Instagram at Coaching with Cree. And that is one-on-one coaching services as well as human design readings. And once again, if you would like to rate and review the podcast and be entered in to win a human design reading with me, you still have a chance. I'm going to pull those names tomorrow afternoon. So listen to any episode and then rate and review. Take a screenshot of your review, email it to goddessofpracticality@gmail.com. I will enter your name into the draw, and then tomorrow I will pick 2 lucky winners for a full human design reading with me to celebrate our 6-month birthday of love and meaning. I love you all. I wish you the best. Let me know what you thought of this. Send your love. Ciao, Bella. And I'll see you next time. Love you guys. Bye.